What's up guys, and welcome to another video. My name is Michael. Today I'm gonna share 6 tips to instantly get better product photography using your mobile phone. Alright, so I've been getting a few messages, people asking me what camera do I use. The camera I use to take my pictures is the Canon EOS R. Now the reason why I'm making this video is because I wanted to, challenge myself to take product photography, in this case for this channel, toy photography of my action figures only using a cell phone. And this is what this video is about. I wanted to prove myself that you don't need a $2,000 camera to take better picture. Yes, it does make a difference when you have a digital SLR. It does make a difference because you have so many options that you can change that you don't have on your cell phone, especially when you have a bigger sensor and when you have the ability that you can switch lenses. Now, I wanted to test this myself, so we're going to be using one of my action figures. In this case, we're going to be using Mickey Mouse from the Epic Mickey video game from the Wii system. I ordered the extended edition a long time ago, and it came with this figure, which is really cool. So this is going to be our product, our subject that we're going to be using for our shoot. So now, without further ado, I'm going to share my 6 tips to take better product photography with your phone. Here it is. All right, before we move on, I wanted to mention the phone that we're going to be using for this example. I'll be using my old Moto X4. This is an Android-based phone. I think if your phone is maybe 3-4 years old, you should be able to have almost the same features as my phone. If it's a little bit older, you'll probably be limited, but I don't think it should be a problem. If you have a flip phone, if you guys know what that is, a flip phone is one of those phones that flip and they're all anyways. If you have one of those, you may not be able to take good pictures. But for the most part, if your smartphone is 3, maybe 4 years old, you should have about the same settings as my phone. All right. So anyways, back to the video. Here you go. All right. So tip number 1, use a tripod. All right. So tip number 2, we're going to go ahead and set our megapixels to the highest option available in our camera. So we're gonna go to settings and we're gonna change our megapixels. And right here we have 3 options. We wanna select the highest megapixel possible, and that's gonna be 12 megapixels. Also, if your camera has the HDR option, which is on the left top corner of the phone, we're gonna go ahead and activate that. Most phones, this is set on auto. In this case, let's go ahead and set it on. We want the highest dynamic range possible for our pictures. So once we have these settings set up, now we're gonna go to tip number 3. We wanna go ahead and change our auto settings to manual settings. So we're gonna go here on our top of the phone where it has that little A. We're gonna select that options, and you see an additional option available that says manual. We wanna set that to manual. And now on the right side of the phone, you're gonna see a square with a dot. We're gonna see a WB, and then we're gonna see a shutter icon, and we have an ISO, and we have the exposure settings. So the settings we wanna change for this particular shoot, we wanna change the white balance, the shutter, and the ISO. So first thing we wanna do is we wanna set our white balance. We're gonna go ahead and change that to, let's see if we can set it to 4087 Kelvin, okay? And then what we're gonna do, next option, we're gonna go to our shutter, and we're gonna select, in this case, let's do 1/6. Now 1/6 does not work handheld, so these settings are not meant to be for photographing with your hands or holding the phone. These settings are specifically designed if you're taking product photography, or in this case, we're taking pictures of Mickey Mouse, a toy. So we want to be able to set this on a tripod, because if not, your pictures will turn out blurry. Next option is ISO. I like to set my ISO when taking product photography below 400. In this case, if we can go to 100, even better. So let's go ahead and set it to 100. All right, perfect. And all right, so now we're gonna go ahead and close this out. And now we're gonna select Mickey Mouse so we can tell the camera to focus on him. So we have him already selected. And we're gonna hold it a couple seconds so we can lock on the focus on Mickey Mouse. All right, so tip number 4, set your timer. In this case, we're gonna set our 10-second timer. So we're gonna go up here and we have basically 3 options. Obviously the one we have right now, and we had the 3 seconds and we had the 10 seconds. So we're gonna activate the 10-second option. And let's go ahead and take a picture really quick here. So again, we're gonna press the center so we can focus on Mickey Mouse, and we're gonna set our shutter here. And now moving to tip number 5, move closer. In this case, we can't move closer to the subject. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move our subject, our Mickey Mouse, closer to the phone. So here we go. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and select Mickey Mouse right here so we can focus, and let's go ahead and hold it so we can lock that. All right, and now let's go ahead and take a picture. All right, and now tip number 6, learn 3-point lighting. So now we have here on set, we have our key light here, a lumen, and we got our Sokani, our edge light, and then we have our third light, which is our fill light, coming from my window here to the right. So first, let's go ahead and power on our key light really quick. And here we go. Here's our key light. Let's go ahead and raise it at 20, maybe 30%. And let's go ahead and power on our edge light. There's a 10, 20. I think 20 is good. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to adjust our settings on our phone. So we're gonna go to the shutter, and we're gonna raise our shutter to 1/20th. That looks pretty good. All right. Let's see, make sure this is too. All right, maybe we can give it a little bit more power on the edge light right here. Okay, that looks good. All right, and I think that looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and take a picture. Remember, we're gonna set up our 10 seconds timer, so that way we're not moving the camera. All right, and let's go ahead and target our subject, so that way the camera focuses, and shutter, 10 seconds. Go. And if you want to go an additional step, you can use a 4th light. This one is another Lume Cube. We're going to go ahead and power up this light to lit up our background. Here's a 10%, 20, and 30. Let's see what that looks like. And I think that looks beautiful. All right, let's take another picture. All right, we are back, and now I want to go over my 6 tips really quick. Tip number 1, a tripod. So if you can, like I said before, make sure you get a tripod. This will help to keep your pictures sharper and not grainy. When you have your camera set on auto settings, the camera is going to tend to lower your shutter, so that way it can take a little bit longer exposure, or it'll raise your ISO really high, so you will get either grainy pictures or really blurry pictures. And especially if you're taking product photography, you want to keep those pictures sharp. Tip number 2, make sure you're using on your phone camera the maximum megapixels that you can use on your phone. When you're taking product photography, obviously right here, your toys, photography, you want to preserve the details, and you want to do that by getting more information. So when you have a camera, for example, my camera, when you look at the first setting, it was showing that it was at 9 point something megapixels, where this camera has a capability of doing 12 megapixels. So just make sure you utilize the full potential of your phone. Also, if your phone has HDR option, high dynamic range, go ahead and activate that. That will help you with your shadows and highlights. So whenever you're editing your picture, you have more options as far as editing your picture. So, all right. Step number 3, set your settings to manual. Phones automatically have their settings on automatic settings, obviously, because you want to be able to grab your phone, point and shoot, and just move on. But when you have the time and you're in the studio, you want to be in control. So what I would recommend, change your settings to manual, and the settings that you want to really work on or change will be your shutter, your white balance, and your ISO. Those are the 3 most important ones that you can actually change on your phone. White balance, that will be my first option. White balance, I will set it at something manually. In this case, we used at 4000 Kelvin. And the reason why we did this is because if you're going to be taking multiple pictures of that same product, you want to be consistent with the temperature. You don't want to have a picture that is a little bit warmer and then the other ones are a little bit cooler. So just make sure you set your white balance at a certain Kelvin, so that way they're all the same. Second, your shutter. If you are on a tripod, you can extend your exposure or your shutter a little bit longer, and that is good because it also allows you to use the minimum light that you're using in the room. In this example that I was showing you, I was using the light coming from the window and also the light from above. The only way you can get away with this is with a tripod, because if you try to do that with your hands, you will get blurry pictures. Third is your ISO. ISO, when you're holding the camera, your phone camera with your hands, your ISO and low light, the camera tends to set those really high, so that way it can let more light in. But in this case, that's not our goal. Our goal is that we want to keep our pictures sharp, and we don't want our pictures to be grainy. So if you can, I will try to lower that as much as possible. In this example, I used 100. You can also use, I will probably recommend maybe up to 400 for something like this, but if you're in a tripod, you should be able to lower it to 100 without any problems. All right, so those are the 3 ones that I will encourage you to change in your manual options. All right, tip number 4, make sure you activate your 10-second timer. Most of the phones will have a 2-second timer or a 10-second timer. Now, the reason why you want to do that is because every time you hit that shutter on your phone, you're moving your phone. And guess what? When you are in a room where there's not enough light, you will get blurry pictures. Even if you have it on a tripod, when you hit that shutter, you still are getting some movement. So that's why you want to set a 10-second timer. So when you hit that phone, it gives you 10 seconds countdown, but your phone stays still, static. And that's how you can get some really good, sharp and crisp pictures. Tip number 5, move closer to your subject, to your product. If you want to get that shallow depth of field, when you get your phone closer to the subject or the other way around, you will notice that the background gets a little bit blurry, and that's what we call shallow depth of field. That gives you a little bit more of a cinematic look on your pictures. Now, you may not want to go for that, but if you do want to go for that, that could be a really good option to do. And the only thing you have to do is get your phone closer or your product closer to the camera. All right, in our last tip number 6, more like a bonus, but if you really learn how to do this, I think it will take your photography to the next level, and that is to learn 3-point lighting. In my example, I'm using a Lume Q light as my key light, and I'm using a Sokani light to create an edge light or a hairline, and then I'm using my light coming from my window as my fill-in light to lit up Mickey Mouse. This technique, you can also do the same thing with any light. It doesn't have to be specifically the light kit that I'm using. You can use a lamp You can use a reflector and you can use your windows, which is really nice. The same applies for outdoor. You can probably do the same thing using maybe the sun as your edge light, using a strobe light as your key light, and maybe a reflector as your filling light. All right, and before we end this video, I wanted to show you my first picture that I took of Mickey Mouse handheld. Here it is. And here is the second picture. This one, I took this picture with the phone set on a tripod with all the manual settings. Here it is. And here is the last image. This is the one we applied the 3 lighting technique. Here it is. Alright, and now here are the 3 pictures together. We have picture 1, picture 2, and picture 3. I'll let you guys be the judge of these images. Let me know at the end or at the comments. Let me know which one do you like better. Number 1, number 2, or number 3. In conclusion, no more excuses. You can take better pictures with your phone. You don't need to get that digital SLR that you don't have the money. I strongly believe with a little bit of an effort, if you walk the extra mile, you can make your pictures look amazing. I've seen some pictures on Instagram, and when I look at their credit and it says their iPhone or their Android, that shows me that it really takes just somebody creative with the tool to create something amazing. Now, when the right time comes, when you have the funds or you get the money, yes, of course, go ahead and upgrade to your digital SLR camera. I strongly believe that if you have better tools, you'll be able to take even better pictures. But the point I'm trying to make is, don't let that hold you back as far as starting your photography business or your toy photography or your product photography business. Start with the tools that you have available. Walk the extra mile and you'll be impressed with the results you get. All right, guys, that is it for today. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your likes, for the comments. Like always, if you did like this video, make sure you hit that like button. And also, if you're watching this video and you want to help me grow this channel, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to hit that notification bell so that way I can notify you of new upcoming videos. And if you're on Instagram and you want to follow me, you can follow me at michaels.collectible. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.